Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only secret podcast that's happy to be back from our little break, our little hiatus, and also wishes it would stop raining so we could do some yard work in peace. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young. You're not wrong.
I was going to say the only secret podcast that, yes, can hear you heavy breathing while the intro is rolling. The crowd can't, but I can, and that's just as bad.
Yeah. I like doing little... But let me tell you what, though. Professional. Didn't break.
I
didn't hear a snicker or a laugh.
Yep. Nope.
So, keep
it professional over here. That's showbiz. Speaking of showbiz, a little bit of housekeeping to do. Let the people all know, hey, it's good to be back. I'm glad we're back. We missed last week. If you're not in Louisiana, you might have missed that there was a hurricane that went right through us, specifically right over Baton Rouge. But also earlier in the week, I was sick. So it just... all around, there were storms on multiple levels going on that really made it a non-starter for us to do an episode. But we also forgot, I knew ahead of time, but we forgot to mention on the last episode we did, episode number 200. Yeah. Episode 200 of Shoe Podcast. Wow. Just
bicentennial?
I thought that was 100.
Well, no. Bye. Sorry.
It was the immediate apology for me. I just want you to know the immediate, as if you were wrong for even saying it. No, I guess bicentennial would be 50 then. It's like bi-week. It's like bi-weekly can either mean like half a week or every 2 weeks. We need better words for these things, people. Yeah. Anyways, 200 episodes, nothing to be shy about.
Hey, put it out there.
We did. We published it. The episode is out. We literally did the thing. So thank you, everyone who's been around here since the beginning. But also, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet on YouTube, what are you doing? If you haven't hit the follow button yet on Spotify, what are you doing? If you haven't hit whatever you would hit on Apple Podcasts, what are you doing? You could leave the rating there. I know that's a thing there for sure. So
our moms do it. You can do it.
You could do it. That's right. And we got the purple and gold color scheme. Go Tigers going on right now. We were just talking. Love that. We were just talking before we hit record about the game this weekend. Big game. Nail biter down to the end.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, here's the thing. I love that we won.
Yeah.
Should have won.
Yeah.
Love that we did.
Yeah.
Should have won.
You think it wasn't deserved?
But I don't know. It was a close game. It was closer than I thought. South Carolina is a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. I was really hoping that would be like our statement game of like, hey, I know we lost to USC and then beat the brakes off Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia
I was like,
Tech.
that was a like you should have won. So
it shouldn't have been close.
Yeah. So then South Carolina came and I was like, we should win this game. Gonna be close, but I'm hoping we at least win by like 2 possessions.
Okay.
And it just came off a nail biter. Like I said, we won from their mistake. Why am I telling you? You know.
I was there. Speaking of
barbershop talk,
what a great time to be a Louisiana football fan, though, huh? Saints too. Who dat nation?
Who dat dog?
Who dat nation rising up right now?
It's crazy because it's so good. Go and see the family.
Yeah.
Out Morgan City to watch the game.
Yeah.
I was gonna say week 3, but I mean Alvin Kamara. He put up 4 touchdowns, 180 yards. I mean, he's playing.
I stopped counting after 2. Yeah.
As you should. Here's the thing. I know it's only week 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. We played Carolina week 1. They're not a great team. They just benched their starting quarterback. Shouldn't have been. He needs time to prep. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's give him a break.
Yeah.
But we beat the dogs not out of Dallas.
Absolutely.
And we were in their house.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold off on the Super Bowl bound talk until Sunday because we're playing the Eagles.
But it's in New Orleans.
We are playing, yeah. And I think the Eagles short week because the Eagles just played Monday night and they lost in Philly.
Yeah,
so could really go. Yeah. So
in their own dojo.
Saints to the playoffs, though. Saints to the playoffs.
They're going all the way.
Advantage.
I think they're going all the way. They're going all the way this year.
Calling it now.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs. They're pretty tough, but
I think they could take the Chiefs. I think they'll take the Chiefs for sure.
Who dat? Also, Cincinnati, love that you got Joe Burrow. Quit with that. Get a new slang. Okay? It's not who day.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
We already got that.
Yep.
Get your own culture.
Shots fired. We're not afraid to call it like we see it here on Shoe Podcast. Speaking of calling it like we see it, we got some topics lined up for tonight, which I don't know about you. I'm a little bit fired up about one of them.
I hope so.
Okay. All right, good. So we went this week in sneakers, it's a little bit of mishmash of topics. I had one in here originally that I got too passionate about, so we have to move it to a separate episode because it might be the whole episode. Shh, no spoilers, but some good stuff to talk about going on this week in sneakers. We're going to go kind of back and forth on the topics here. You're going to kick us off, and I want to let the people know right away, he made his own artwork. Okay. Now I know
Thank you.
I don't have to say it because you're going to know it, because the graphic design for Shoe Podcast, I'm normally making it's right here. This week it's up here. It's elevated.
Well,
it's elevated. It's elevated.
Well, here's the thing. One, I'll be honest, super easy. And if you know anything about graphic design, like, you know how easy it is. I'm proud to have done it. The second one,
shout out everyone in graphic design who you just pandered to and said, if you've got a job in this, you get that it's really not that much work.
But for me, it was a big deal. Okay. For me, it was a big deal. And you let me have it. Now, the other one, that's just a goof and a gaff.
Okay. He's just having fun.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
I'm ready for it.
Go ahead and kick us off. This first one's yours.
Because here's the thing. All right. Yep. Less about the Adidas Climamog, which just...
This is a great time to remind everyone, if you're listening and not watching, you're missing out on a lot right now. All right.
Or the Clog Dupes. First off, just by the names alone, you should know where I'm about to go.
Yeah. Clog Dupes, I get what they're doing. It's a clog foam posit. Climamog, when you wrote it down, I said, are you sure you've got that right? And you said, no, this is what it's called.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Wild.
From the names, I think we're done with the everyone trying to make a clog, everyone trying to hop on the clog choo-choo train. All right. Here's the thing. Okay. Yep. Crocs, they were like a joke, but like a joke you didn't want to be a part of.
At first.
Yep. Then they kind of had some big names. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, okay, now it's like kind of like it's a joke, but you want to be a part of it. Like a great inside joke.
Yeah.
You want to be in on it. Then it kind of leaning towards more like, okay, this is kind of like you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know, you got some Salehi coming in there. So like really bring in some of that like actual fashion to it.
Yep.
And that is where you'll see, okay, big names are like, okay, we got to get a piece of this pie.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the beginning, it was fun. Okay.
We all had a laugh.
We all had a great time. Okay. More clogs for everybody. And I think everybody was here for it. I loved majority of them. I mean, obviously, shout out, plug ourselves. You can go ahead and watch us do a ranking of all the clogs.
Most popular video we've ever put on the channel. Which is, just a quick aside, this is Insider Baseball now. The thumbnail for it is one of the YouTube auto-generated thumbnails, by the way.
That hurts.
We didn't make an actual... that was not an episode that we wrote down and we were like, this one's going to hit. That one just...
was going to be a banger.
That's kind of just a random episode that seems to have taken off for some reason. And since then, listener, there's been a lot of episodes that we've put a lot more work into that have not done as well. More. And that's why we don't play the algorithm. We make the episodes we want to make. Yeah. We put the clog right on top of Willem Dafoe's face. Okay, we're doing what we want.
That's just kind of stuff that we do.
That's right.
And I think we're at a point now where I think everybody is like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but majority of the stuff that's coming out, I don't like.
Okay.
And it looks silly. And I think it's finally time to put this to bed and just finally come back and say, yeah, Crocs, you're the gold standard. Okay. Crocs, you are king of this. We're going to go back to not doing this. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Nike, Adidas, slides, have at it.
Okay.
That's kind of your zone for like a laid back comfort footwear.
Yeah.
Leave the clogs to the Crocs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Let the king go ahead and handle this market.
I like your topic here. I like that you got it. So your main thesis, to make sure I've summarized correctly, is that everyone other than Crocs stop making the clogs right now.
Boom. There you go.
Okay.
That's really it.
Are you not worried that's going to cause a monopoly? You're just happy to live in that world?
But it's one of those. I don't even. It's not that. No, I'm okay with it actually. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to write it to where I wasn't, and I'm okay with it because here's the thing. It's not like other players coming in is making competition. Like Crocs is just like, I don't really care what you're doing. I'm really just going to keep doing the same thing I'm doing. I just made a freaking Batmobile. Okay. So
we just did the Batmobile Clog. Yeah.
I kind of got my shit figured out over here. And then you got like Vans being like, what if we made a nursing home shoe, but it's made of foam? And I'm like, why do you want to do that?
Yeah. Because we could.
And it's like, oh, it's just solid foam. There's actually no ventilation at all.
Yeah.
So slippery when wet all around.
Like a Bon Jovi album. Right.
Now, you see that man can rock some Levi's.
Oh, yeah. Well, no one moves Wrangler like Bon. Go ahead.
Speaking of Bon Jovi, you saw him and his wife talk a girl off a bridge?
I did see a clip of that. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I also saw the front man from Jane's Addiction fighting with Dave Navarro on stage. Yeah. Really the polar opposites of humanity here. Yeah.
Well, Bon Jovi just started singing Living on a Prayer. And then obviously she was like, hey, you're right.
Yeah.
And
I could be living on a prayer.
Honestly, here's the thing. I'm fighting David Navarro too. Why you left that tattoo show, man? I mean, why were you the host of it? That seemed weird to begin with because you're not a tattoo artist.
You know how crazy, crazy is not the right word, I got to say, but you know how twisted the narrative is where Dave Navarro comes out of something looking like he took the high road?
He's the guy.
Dave Navarro. Yeah.
That's a wild thing. I also just love this conversation and just randomly just
we talk about whatever we want here.
It's flashing. Right here.
Anyways,
this is really just me just griping. Yeah, you know what I mean, I'm just griping.
Is more of your gripe with the clog having to do with kind of spinning the foam posit into a clog? Because I wanted to pull another example here. Big one going around right now. Not a clog, but the New Balance 1906R loafer. The trend of like, let's take a sneaker and make it a casual shoe. Is that part of your gripe?
Yeah, well, I guess I think right now we're at the catalyst. I think now it's like the jumping shark. Okay, I think that's what we're doing right now. I know where it comes from, which is weird that Fonzie, you know, he was the one who got the thing.
Sure.
I still don't really understand. I guess they were like, we're doing too much. I don't really
get it. Yeah.
This is I'm like, we're doing too much. This is like we're going so far from like the original concept, like the original purpose.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's called the Climb Walk. Why? And then the Clog Posit, like, we're just
Clog Posit is nasty work for sure.
It's diabolical, 100%. And I think we're at the catalyst now where it's like, okay, this isn't like, oh, Crocs are silly, but the Clog Posit is definitely something I'm rocking with.
Right. Yeah.
This is some serious fire right here. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Get you a Croc. Or if you're like, hey, I don't want a Croc, but I want a clog, then get you a Salehi. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's Croc, but it's I think it's distinct.
Join us in a civilized society and wear the Salehi Crocs for sure.
Yeah. And again, I understand you're just afraid to put that on and then know that you're never going to wear a shoe again. And I get it.
I was there. There's support group. There should be for people like me. Yeah.
A CA? Yeah. Clog Anonymous?
Clogs Anonymous. Or Crocs Anonymous. Yeah. Either way, not a bad idea.
Either way. Now, I don't know who Jane is, but I'm addicted to Crocs. That's for sure. There it is.
All right. We're going to mic drop right there and move on to our next topic. So over the weekend, I couldn't find the post that I saw on Instagram, but I did see a post floating around kind of alerting people that some of the Adidas and Fear of God athletics collection was starting to go on sale, which is kind of wild to think because it really just dropped earlier this year. And that was like, 2-3 years in the making that we've been waiting for this collection to come out. So you can find some of the items on End right now. I put just like a screenshot here. You can see it includes not only the clothes, but some of the shoes as well are being discounted as much as I think that says 40% off. It's real tiny on my screen, guys. I don't need glasses. I would benefit from glasses for sure, but yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with wearing glasses.
Well,
and so I looked on Adidas's website too. And you search Fear of God, and it says there's 39 results, but then you click on it.
Yeah,
they're not showing anything. So I think they were showing on sale on their website over the weekend, and maybe it got too big that hey, Fear of God Athletics is on sale. People are making a big fuss about it. Just pull it. Don't even show it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. But the question I kind of wanted to ask here, is it over before it ever really started for Adidas and Fear of God Athletics? If it's already going on sale within the same year that it's getting launched. Now, I mean, granted, so much of everything is going on sale right now, but this just feels like it should be kind of that more flagship type stuff.
And to be fair, okay, or I guess more. Is this the essentials, or is this?
So this is sip of water. Fear of God has kind of 3 different lines of business. There's Fear of God, which is the designer luxury collection. There's Premium, essentials, which is the more affordable, lower end stuff. I say lower end; it's still very nice. And then there is athletics, which is their sportswear department. And that's the branch that's collaborating with Adidas is athletics. So that was a lot of I think it's a lot of the sticking point that people don't get, because a lot of people, when they hear Fear of God, they think essentials, which is the most affordable line. And that's what a lot of people are wearing. That's what the majority of people who are wearing Fear of God are wearing. And I think when the news was Fear of God is going to collaborate and work in partnership with Adidas, they thought, great, we're going to get like $120 Fear of God shoes because essentials. But no, they're closer to the more premium price point because they're in that line of Fear of God's catalog. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I guess like you said, it is tough because the essentials line is what you're going to see. You know, I mean, I don't know how much business malls are doing, but I do remember hitting in the ball, and you could see the essentials in like a PacSun or something.
Right.
Like
that. Yeah.
So that is, I think, where everyone's brain does go to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going to collab with that, I do think you're already behind the line, because then people are going to hear, oh no, this isn't essentials. Oh, well, I don't really know if I want that. And then if I do want some Fear of God stuff, I'm probably just going to buy the essentials. I don't think I'm going to buy like athletic wear. Yeah. Especially like in that clothing line.
I think people were pumped for it regardless of the terminology of whether it's essentials or athletics. I think when they saw the price point though, and they were like, oh, this is not what I expect. That just turned a lot of people off to it.
For me, I guess it was really just color palette, and which again, I know that's very much Fear of God.
I think that's the thing. Yeah.
You know, Fear of God definitely has those very neutral tones, which I do think look great. So I guess maybe that's also something people are like, oh, it's a beige shoe for $200 and some dollars. And again, I have been pretty critical, especially of the shoes line. I'm like, this looks like an off-brand Urban Outfitters shoe. It doesn't necessarily look like, especially not all of them. I think like their basketball shoe, I think that looks more Fear of God, but definitely like the runner,
like the Los Angeles runner. Yeah, I remember you said that
one definitely. So it could be, and then I mean, it's also tough. I mean, even on sale, it's looking like a tank top is $90.
Yeah, it's still a premium price.
That's really tough, and I think a lot of the everyday person who's like, if I do want an Adidas tank top, they're also going to be like, well, I'm not going to pay $90 for a Fear of God tank top that doesn't even say Fear of God on it. That just says Adidas.
It's more of a if you know type of thing. Like if you're the kind of person who's buying that, I think you're the kind of person who's like, this is the Fear of God Adidas. You're like, I think you're probably happy to tell people that.
I think that person who's more pumped to say that it's a Fear of God isn't going to go for the athletics. I think that's more of someone, and I don't think that person who is buying a premium athletics, I don't think they're doing it for like Fear of God or even Adidas.
Okay.
I think there's other more hype, especially with Nike and just like the Nike athletes and their promotion. I think people would rather go and spend a premium price on Nike because I think that has more global recognition.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think if somebody's more of like I'm proud to wear a Fear of God, I think they're going more for like that designer.
I will say, I do think this sale or these discounts get the shoes down to the price point where more people would expect them to be, and what
150?
makes sense. Because I think, what is it? It's like 120 for the runner, 150 for the basketball. I think that's like
great.
That's really reasonable. That's really well in line. I think still probably a lot of people's hang up is that Fear of God, their design language and their color palette pretty much is what it is and has been what it has been, to where like
100%.
A lot of this stuff when it came out, you're like, oh, it does not look that different from like a lot of the stuff they did with Nike. And if you love Fear of God, that's great for you. But if you're like, a casual Fear of God fan and kind of want them to have their take on what's still going on, or like what, pushing fashion forward, this all still just kind of looks like a little bit of a tweak from like what we were doing in 2018, 2019,
Yeah. Now I will say like that athletic crew, crew neck like sweatshirt. Like I think that looks great.
It looks good.
I like the So I think hearing like, oh, there's a big sale, like you said, especially with like, hey, we just dropped this line and it's weird to just do it, and especially if it's supposed to be a premium, it hitting anywhere between 35 and 40% off sale. I don't think that looks well. I mean, obviously, I think that's like Adidas. It does give the perception of like Adidas being like, hey, I'm just trying to move the product now.
It's got to go. Yeah.
And it's not moving at this price point. So it doesn't look good that Adidas is already trying to offload a bunch of product. I mean, I don't know anything about market analytics and things like that, but it doesn't seem like Adidas would be like, yeah, let's do a second line, and I'm already immediately selling like on sale the first one.
They will have a second line. I read an article, it was a few weeks, if not a couple of months back, about Fear of God Athletics and Adidas, and I'm pretty sure, I hope I'm not misremembering, I think they have a second collection locked in contract, and that's maybe next year that's happening. I think beyond that is where the contract is then open for negotiation between like their continued involvement. So I'm really curious to see. I think that next collection, whatever they do next, is going to be really defining of like, was this first one kind of a one-off of like, it took 2 or 3 years to come to fruition, and so it's a little bit dated in the original ideas, and so this next one might be a little bit more cutting edge, or is the next one kind of more the same, and is this what we're going to get from it,
That was going to be my question to you, is do you think too much time had passed between
1,000%
Nike and Adidas? But then even so, I like the point you brought up. Are we just
this just is what it is. Yeah.
A general fashion point, is this kind of like, hey, we're not really here much anymore? Because I will agree. I still regularly will see essentials wear, like the sweaters, the shirts, popular. Things like that.
Yeah.
Very, very. So like, and that I feel like from when it came out to now is still the same style.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I feel, it's one of those things where I'm like, well, so I look at this, I'm like, okay, well, it's just, it seems like the same style line as like the essentials line.
Yeah.
So people still like essentials. So is it, I guess like your original point, is it just solely a price point at this point?
Well,
if essentials is still moving, you would imagine that this should move as well.
I think it's a little bit of that, but I think it's also the difference between which trends in t-shirts and trends in footwear move. I think footwear moves quicker. Where like essentials t-shirts, like in general, a relatively plain-ish blank that maybe has an interesting crop or cut to it, and the essentials logo goes from embroidered to a full-size screen print to just a back, whatever they do with it. That's always like, there's always going to be an audience, by case in point, for people. This is not essentials, but like people who want to wear neutral colored plainish shirts. That's always going to be there. Footwear, I think people who are super into shoes, that taste changes a lot quicker than necessarily like basic shirts do. Like case in point, I have way less shirts than I do shoes. Actually, I might be one of those people who's like kind of in the minority for that, but like I have probably 3 shirts that I wear every week. And then outside of that, like the other 4 change. Whereas shoes, like I might wear, with how many pairs of shoes I have, 1 pair might get worn once a month at most, Yeah. So I don't know if shirts just kind of stay around longer than shoes. Good point. I don't know. But anyways, I'll keep us moving here. But
Okay.
I'm curious to see what comes next. I will also, not to get into it, but just drop real quick the nugget that seems like Anthony Edwards and Adidas not having problems right now. Seems like they're taking off and doing great. So I don't know.
Yes, they are.
I don't think it's a Adidas basketball footwear issue.
No.
Across the board. So anyways.
Good point.
All right. What do you got for us next year? Life of Pablo, hit us.
Life of Pablo. Here we go. Okay. This has been something that I have been thinking about for a couple of years now. And the biggest thing is, should the NFL allow custom cleats in games? So very similar to the NBA. Or not similar, but I think the NFL should move more towards how the NBA views sneakers, specifically sneakers in game. Yeah. So real quick, so like the NFL official rule is that players are allowed to use any cleat color that they desire outside of game. So basically like your warm-ups, anything like that. I know for the like all-star games, you can. And there is, I think, maybe like a week or two where the NFL will do my cause, my cleat. And the cleat has to be tied towards their cause. Do
you remember growing up in school where there'd be like one Friday a year where it was like Jean Friday, and if like you
absolutely
boom. This sounds like Jean Friday to me, you know?
Like, okay, weeks.
Everyone listening right now who did not go to school in Louisiana where like both public and private uniforms required, they're like, what are you guys talking about right now? But if you had to wear uniforms every day of the week, Jean Friday once a year, this is sounding a lot like that.
But you still had to wear a school.
Still the polo.
Like,
still the polo.
Yeah. But you go wear jeans. You got jeans. Yeah. So it's basically like that. They're like,
it's Jean Friday. Got it. Okay.
2 games. You can, and they have to be charity based.
Right.
So as long as there is no offensive graphics or unauthorized branding, however, during the game, cleats must be a black, white, or a constitutional color, or the official team color. So they're very players are very limited in the color palettes that they're allowed to wear, and specifically the sneakers. So I think that leads to a very boring look, Landry.
A constitutional color, is that like red, white, and blue? Like,
I think so, yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's what that means.
So I would like for the NFL to move more towards the NBA, where you can go with one. It is more tied, and I know there's a bigger market for basketball sneakers, but people are like, I see LeBron, I see the shoes he wears. That's LeBron shoes. Right. I want to wear LeBron shoes, like a PE. And also you get great colors. They don't have to look as a like smooth uniform where everyone's wearing the same thing. Yeah. While don't get me wrong, I do think that's a great look where everyone kind of is wearing the same uniform. I like the variety.
I think it's your more jersey. Fun. I'll know what team you're playing for, you know?
Exactly. So
now,
here are some
real quick. Sorry, me again with I'm going to have a lot of questions here.
Bring it on.
And I'm going to have so many questions as we established at the beginning of the episode. Big football guy, big NFL guy. I'm very plugged in.
Clearly.
I didn't know this was a thing though. That you couldn't just wear whatever cleats during games, because you see on Instagram a lot. I don't know if everyone follows all the customizers, but if you follow a lot of the customizers, they'll be posting customs they did for players that they wore. And I just always assumed they're wearing them for the whole game, but just for practice, which is kind of wild.
It is. Yeah. They can either wear them literally at like during the week during their practice, or you can wear essentially whatever cleat you want during the warm. So anything before kickoff, you can wear essentially what you want. And that's where like Odell Beckham, like he was like,
right.
One of the biggest names. I don't know how much he's still doing it now. Especially when he was playing with the Giants. It's almost like every week he was wearing a very unique custom sneaker, or cleat, which is very cool. Unfortunately, cannot wear those in game. Now, there are some athletes who do some workaround, or not really a workaround, but they'll kind of very much like amplify it a little more. Like Devontae Adams plays for the Steelers, so he wore like an all like platinum shoe, which was very cool.
Okay.
And then you'll have a lot of players right now, they're using that constitutional color. As a avid NFL watcher,
gotcha.
you know,
of course,
the Jordan 1 Chicago cleat.
Yes.
is extremely popular right now because it is red white.
Yes.
So it goes with a lot of teams. So kind of some examples as to why I think that this should have traction is shout out to Complex Sneakers for doing amazing artwork. They will do this during the season of the best cleats from whatever week.
Yeah.
And you can go through. They will also not only have basically the pregame, but they will also have like the cleats. So number 17, Devontae Adams playing for the Raiders. He was the one wearing the all platinum.
Okay.
I want to say Dion's. And so this is like, hey, there is obviously a market for this. We have Complex Hero being like, hey, these cleats were some of the coolest ones. I mean, Derek Carr, pretty popular for wearing the Jordan 11 Concords.
Okay.
Again, a black and white shoe goes with everything. Obviously on the Saints, so black is going to go again with that uniform colorway. So I use this. I see this all the time. I'm like, man, there's obviously a market. This has great engagement every time Complex does it, and it's fun to just go and see what they have. And it's got great traction, and this is with athletes following this. Like, it has to be black, white, or a team color. So to me, if you could basically go out of that box, I think it would have even better. And again, just for a sneaker enthusiast, we know that they've had obviously we have Jordans that have cleats that kind of, again, do kind of a workaround with the colorway rule. But even Adidas with the Turtle Dove, they did cleats,
back in the day.
Which I think Odell did actually wear during the Pro Bowl and then auction those off. Which is really cool. So I love that in the Pro Bowl, you get to do it. And again, it's not jarring.
Yeah.
When it's in the Pro Bowl, we have all these different helmets. I don't think it would be that distracting. And again, we've got an example right here that we get engagement for cool looking cleats on the field.
Well, and I think
it would be better.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that was part of what ultimately reversed the NBA's decision around not allowing players to just wear whatever. I thought they had a viewership issue where they just, the NBA games were not getting the TV viewership time and letting players wear whatever they wanted because they realized a lot of people were tuning in just to see what shoes people were wearing was part of that solution for them. I could be completely fabricating that story, but I thought that was a thing.
I do feel like that has some play.
So if that's the case, I wonder if maybe the NFL isn't that worried about it because maybe they're not having that viewership issue. They're getting tons of people watching it.
They are definitely getting, they're making, it's billions on billions, I'm sure, every year. So they definitely don't have a viewership problem, both on television and in person. And I do think the NFL is definitely more of, I know that to me, the big difference between like an NBA and the NFL is the NBA is more like, I think they understand that their players are their market.
Right.
So the more that they can push their players, that will lead people to watch the NBA. Where the NFL wants to push more of like the team. So they don't they're using like, hey, we've got this big team, we have these big names, but you're coming to root for the Denver Broncos, not for this specific player. Whereas I think the NBA has more of a player focused league than a team focused league.
Okay.
So I think that is also like a key separation. Why the NBA does more for, we want our stars to stand out and be unique, whereas the NFL is more like, we want everyone to be very in unison.
Well, and there's also an element there, I'm sure, of like, whatever shoe LeBron's playing in, you could get and wear off the court. Whatever cleat Odell 100%. Beckham's playing in, you can't really wear off the field,
Exactly.
So I think there's some element to that there.
So that is a great segue to kind of my next little point is having more player exclusive cleats. Another great example, shout out to Complex, is the Deion Sanders DT Max 96 is taking over. That again was like Deion Sanders, that was his standout cleat going forward. We don't have a lot of NFL athletes who have a signature cleat.
Yeah.
Now, I understand. Obviously, there's a big difference in that market. A basketball sneaker can be worn both performance-wise and fashion-wise, whereas a cleat is strictly going to be performance. You are not going to, obviously, because it's a cleat, it's going to be very uncomfortable. However,
hey, real quick, we see y'all with the golf Jordans trying to wear the golf Jordans casually around town. We see y'all, okay?
It ain't working.
We're talking about you two here. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
But I think with an increase in like youth flag football, and things like that, I think that having big player exclusive cleats, I think you would see a really big market. I think there would be a lot of youth players who would say, I want a Derrick Henry cleat because I want to run like Derrick Henry. I want a Patrick Mahomes cleat because I'm a quarterback. He's the biggest man. He's my favorite quarterback. There are a ton of, I think there's a large market that would be like in the same vein as I think kids who want to buy basketball sneakers. Who's your favorite athlete right now? This is my favorite basketball star. I'm going to buy his shoe because he's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it would be the exact same thing. I want to buy this NFL star's cleat because they're my favorite NFL star right now. Yeah. I do think that would be a big market. And again, we're seeing right here, the Deion Sanders cleat is blowing up right now. You see it all over in the NFL. A lot of players wearing it, custom colors to fit within those rules for the team colors and things like that. So again, I'm seeing all these examples, these little small little tidbits of like, I think the market is there, and I would love for the NFL to move towards more uniqueness and individuality. Obviously still following that, like, hey, we're not going to have super things that are super, super graphic. But again, allowing for some more personality to go through. Sure, like, yes, maybe Odell Beckham doesn't wear a Joker-themed cleat during the game, but allows for him to wear something that is a little bit more colorful design. And then again, how great would it be to, you're playing in the Super Bowl, you debut a new colorway, a new sneaker, akin to the NBA during All-Star week. You know, obviously I know All-Star goes in the middle of the season, which I think is a perfect place for that. But maybe the Super Bowl, hey, we're going to bet on you going to the Super Bowl, or you are going to go
the middle of the season, honestly.
Bada boom, bada bing.
I'm an idea.
Or even like the Pro Bowl. We have the Pro Bowl more towards that rather than the end of the season. So the Pro Bowl is here. Again, being able to say, hey, you're going to the Pro Bowl. Here you go. We're gonna debut. You're a kid. You're watching the Pro Bowl. You see your favorite player, new colorway, new cleat. You know that hey, I want to get that because for the next season of flag football or Pop Warner, or whatever it may be, you have it. And we have something of that. I know that there are players who kind of exclusively will wear one model, and that model has kind of become that athlete's kind of signature model. Okay. But it's not the same as I think in the NBA.
Right.
And that's, I think, what I would like to see the NFL move towards is a more player exclusive silhouette. What does Derrick Henry style as kind of a very power running back? Is it more of a low top, a high top? Where does he like it? You know, the cushion, the placement, things like that. I think that would be great. One, increase better performance for our highest paid athletes. But then it would be great for someone who's like, hey, I have a very similar build to Derrick Henry. I play high school football. I'm going to buy his cleat because if it works for him, and he's getting paid millions of dollars, should work for me as, a high school freshman or whatever it may be. I think, and again, I think it would look even better. I think there would be a lot more people who would tune in because, again, like you said, the NBA, people tune in, hey, it's All-Star weekend. I'm literally going to turn this on to see what's on the court.
Right.
Like, don't really care what the score of the game is. Don't really care what the performance is. Who is wearing what?
Yeah.
I would love to see the same thing for the NFL, even if it's not I'm going to tune in to see what's going to hit the market soon, and more of just, I just want to see what kind of wild stuff these guys are wearing.
Now, quick question here for you before we move on. Is there Is there a lot of people just wearing whatever they want anyways and paying the fine for it? Or can you not really do that?
You can't really. No, they there's I think there's actually like paid by the NFL, like not officials, but like there are people who will be like, hey, you're literally not allowed to go onto the field.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it's not like
and no one's ever tried to just be like, stop me. You know, like
there's I think
there's a 250-pound guy, just like stop.
Well,
me.
The NFL has so much control and power that they would immediately just like, let's say that is the case. I'm sure they would just call the GM and be like, hey,
shut it down.
Yeah. And it would happen. So they definitely have like uniform inspectors, like, okay. Like for not even just everything that the athlete wears. So
always, it was worth asking. Okay. I asked on your behalf.
Hey, there you go.
Everyone from the NFL that keeps hitting our DMs asking us to talk about it. Please. There. It's been addressed now. Okay. There it is.
You're welcome.
Good topic. I like that one.
You know.
I'm going to round us out with one here. And this one had me fired up yesterday and has me confused today. But let's talk about it. The Nike City, and it's pronounced City, but the I is a number 1. It's a new it's a new silhouette they're debuting. But it all started yesterday when I saw a Soul Savvy Instagram post comparing the new Nike City to the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe, asking, quote, did Nike just repurpose the Tom Sachs GPS after moving on from their partnership? And they also asked, were these supposed to be another Nike Tom Sachs shoe, or is the resemblance just a coincidence? I get it. We're asking controversial questions to drive engagement, to get people fired up in the comments. You didn't get me in the comments, but you got me fired up about it for sure. Because I was looking at it and I was like, I mean, I could see some similarities to the general purpose shoe, but to be like, is this a stolen ideal? Was this supposed to be the next one? I thought it was a little aggressive. So
a little much.
Whatever. I was like, okay, maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. You know, compare the Nike City to the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe. That'll be that. Well, today in doing my research, it just kept coming up more and more. So then I saw Sneaker News kind of further pushing the conversation on Instagram by asking, what sneakers do these remind you of? They left it very open-ended. They weren't drawing any direct comparisons, but a lot of the comments were people saying these look like the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe.
They know what they're doing.
It goes deeper. It goes deeper than that. In an article on Sneaker News, though, they go on to say, there's, quote, a comparison to be made to the women's Air Force One Wild. High Snobiety, in writing about them, compares this shoe to both the Nike Field General and a Nike Kill Shot. And lastly, GQ goes so far as to say that the top half is very clearly borrowed from the Dunk Low. This one to me is like the most egregious reach of anything I've seen here. So all that kind of leads to the discussion. Initially, I was fired up, like I said, to debate just whether or not these were a ripoff of the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe. But I've lined it up here. So that's the Nike City at the top, the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe, the Field General, the Air Force One Wild, and the Kill Shot 2. Is the Nike City, this new silhouette, unique enough to be considered a new shoe? Or is it just borrowing so many design elements from past things that it feels like a ripoff? Or are all of the designs just kind of so similarly basic that it's like, yeah, at a certain point, like a shoe is a shoe? I'm going to open it up to you. Just what are your thoughts on this? Has the city popped up in your timeline yet? Or is this kind of the first you're seeing of it?
No, this is the first I'm seeing of it.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't really seen it. So here's the thing. Okay.
Let's walk through it. What similarities do you see to any of these other shoes, if any?
Okay. I see the first thing that got me was the outsole, which I was like, okay, outsole of the City and the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe.
Similar.
Okay, sure. They're similar. They're
similar, but different. The Tom Sachs general purpose shoe wraps up on the toe, and in the back there, it doesn't have as thick of the tread. Minor details, but I want to get nitpicky for all the people who are like, they literally just ripped the sole off. It's slightly different here. Okay.
And I think you should, because exactly it's pretty, so. But even at the toe, not only does on the Tom Sachs does it wrap up, it's very close and tiny. Yeah. Whereas on the City, it's still spaced. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm like, no. I mean, again, just a wider tooth, maybe.
Yeah.
Now the tongue, kind of, maybe.
Kind of, but a tongue's a tongue. Like what else can you do with it? You know,
a tongue's a tongue, and it's thin. So I'm like, okay, so
it doesn't have the pull tab on the tongue.
Doesn't have the pull tab on the tongue, and the pull tab on the heel is also very different.
It's lower. It's not right on the top of the heel. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Outside of that, I legitimately don't see on any other, the Field General, Air Force One Mild, and the Killshot 2, I do not see anything of like, oh, it's clearly this shoe.
Right. That's where like all these people drawing comparisons. I'm like, yeah, it looks similar in the fact that like it's got a swoosh on the side of it and it's a low top, but like other than that, what else can we do? Like, you know, I get that Nike's got an innovation problem right now, and I'm not saying this is a groundbreaking shoe, but at the same time, it's like, they can't just not make anything that looks like nothing they've ever done before, you know?
But that, and also like Nike does have like, they do have a template, like,
right.
The heel's kind of, the way that kind of hides the swoosh, that's kind of going to be a thing. The toe box, like, is kind of like almost an iconic kind of like thing within a lot of Nike and Jordans is like, yeah, you're gonna know a Nike toe box. I don't know what that material would be that's around like the laces where they come.
The eye stay?
I guess, yeah, the eye stay. So like, again, like, but like it's kind of wavy and
it's wavy and like we're getting real nitpicky, but it has 7 holes, whereas the general purpose shoe has 3. It's not 3, sorry, 6.
And then, but I mean, the Air Force One Wild's kind of wavy, but again, that's only 5 or 4.
The Air Force One Wild of all the ones on here, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like
that looks that looks nothing.
It's a shoe with a swoosh on the side of it, sure, but other than that, like,
I mean, I'm even trying to look like at the midsole.
It's got a mud guard, sure, you know, but
that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, I don't. I have no idea where they could could see, because this does not look like the general purpose shoe at all. Again, if anything, the most harsh thing to say is like, this just looks like something that would be on the shelf.
Right.
Like,
that's the thing is that like, it's not inherently a bad shoe, but it's also just not like this crazy new shoe, but it's also not like a direct ripoff of the general purpose shoe, in my opinion.
Yeah. This looks like almost like just like, hey, this is our new general Nike.
Right.
That's going to come in at a good price point, and it's going to be pretty durable and come in, you know, a couple cool colorways. Like, to me, this just like, hey, you're going to see this shoe at wherever you buy shoes.
Right.
You're going to see this.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, they're just being like, this is our new GR, and here it is, you know? So like, to be fair, also, like, to me personally, of the shoes you have listed here, I like it the most of like,
it's definitely, you know, like it's
Tom Sachs.
It's got its own thing going for it there. I like the little vent holes on the side of the vamp that wrap up. Like, if anything, that's something new and different they're kind of doing. You'll like, if you haven't seen it, they come with little pouches, but like, I don't know how big the pouches are. Like, is this like a pencil bag? Like, I don't think it's big enough to hold the shoes.
So here's the thing. Like, I thought, I didn't know if this was like just a general statement or an insult. So I didn't want to say it, but now seeing this, like, I almost like looking at these are like, yeah, this is a back to school shoe.
Yeah.
Like, this just looks like something like, hey, school's coming up. This is going to be, again, this is our general release. To me, I'm like, this is a back to school shoe. This is, again, especially with this like colorway, like, it's going to probably go with whatever uniform. It's probably going to meet whatever criteria you need, but it's going to be a Nike. It's got something cool to it.
Listen, I'm telling you,
the details on it aren't terrible.
Oh, it's got different traction patterns on the bottom. I didn't realize that.
I see that. Look at that. Yeah. Wow. See, like, that's cool.
If there's anything you want to get fired up with about this shoe, it's the name, right? If you want to get mad about
Yeah.
anything, this name of city with a 1 instead of an I is disgustingly gross.
It really is. But so here's the thing. I see that and I'm like, why don't sneaker brands do this more? Like, be like, hey, this is our back to school shoe. Here's a random school supply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how fire would it be if like this shoe came with like a Nike swoosh, like scissors?
That'd be cool. Well, I don't know if you
Like, just like
scissors.
Kid scissors.
Okay, kid scissors, sure.
Yeah. Like, like, or, here's like a pack of like Nike embroidered like crayons.
Sorry, I'm scrolling through the article here.
Fire.
I'm trying to see no mention of this little bag that it comes with. I'm just very curious what that is.
Oh, okay. This is a sneaker news article.
Sneaker
okay.
news.
I thought this
just like taking inspiration from yesterday's icons and outdoor minded shoe aesthetics, which like, yeah, I get like yesterday's icons for sure.
Sure.
I think they're also trying to do like construction-y kind of themed with like the bright orange and the bright yellow here, but also kind of looks very space hippie to me, of like the grays with the bright pop of orange. And then there was one with the bright pop of Volt on it. So I don't know. It's kind of got that vibe to it, but anyways, this had me pretty just like confused of like, to me, this is kind of like the Jordan 1 mid versus the Jordan 1 high thing. Actually, no, it's not, because that's just like a height difference, and you're like, they look really similar. But like, that's like you want to get talking about like, this is kind of the same thing. You could do that. But the general purpose shoe in the city, it's like, yeah, I mean, they look similar in the sense that they're shoes, but like, other than that, they're not really the same shoe.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's also just one of those things where it's like, again, like I said, it's like, hey, I'm just going to say this statement. It doesn't really matter if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Or people just get like, I think we are.
It'll drive a conversation.
We're at that point of the internet where it's just like, I'm just going to say something, and that's all I got to do. I didn't say it was a ripoff. I just said this was super close. Which everyone else, they said it was a ripoff.
Now, here's the funny thing is that I know you didn't see the post, but you're literally like quoting the post right now. Can I find, hang on. Oh, it won't show the replies though. Someone commented on the Soul Savvy post comparing it to the general purpose shoe saying, are you suggesting that those two shoes are identical? And they commented back with this snarky response of like, we're saying that there's a resemblance between them.
There you go.
And I'm like, yeah, but you're saying, you literally posted, did they repurpose this shoe? You don't get to like be like, no, we're not saying they're identical, but like there's a resemblance, and it's just.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. It's like plausible deniability or something like that. So it's like, I'm going to lead you in technically one direction, but I never directly said it. Yeah. So you can't say that I was wrong. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, it's obviously not, but it's also the internet. So people are going to be like, oh, no, this is 100% a ripoff just to,
here's what I want.
Guess say it.
Here's what I want. If you made it this far into the episode, first of all, thank you so much for listening. Secondly, drop a comment down below. Let us know, is the Nike City, the new lifestyle shoe, a very close ripoff or like very identically, I won't even say similar. Is it pretty identical to the general purpose shoe? Do you feel like those two were like very one and the same-ish? Because I'm not going to argue that they don't have any similarities, right? They do.
100%, yeah.
But like, are you willing to go so far as to say that like these are pretty much the same shoe? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you.
I would love to hear, like, if you're like, yes, I would love to hear the, like, your, like, what do you see? Because it very well could be like, I'm just not seeing it. But
it could be we're looking at the same picture and you're seeing something else. But when I look at it, I can spot the differences between the two pictures in the highlights magazine at the dentist office. You know, I could complete this puzzle for you.
Oh, look, all I'm saying is some people cry when they see the Mona Lisa, and I just see a overreacted.
Okay, he's talking about trying to drive up engagement. There he goes. He's trying to get the people worked up in the comments.
But then I'm also just like, for the people who are like throwing paint on them, like, it's behind plexiglass. Doing like, I feel like you just, I mean, like, you make a statement, but then I'm like, dog, Chevron, go keep drilling, man. Like.
They're not shaking in the boardroom going, did you see they threw Campbell's tomato soup at the Mona Lisa? We got to shut it down, boys. Unfortunately,
turns out people aren't going to the gas pumps.
Turns out we got some people opposed to what we're doing here. Anyways, thank you everyone for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. You can catch us online at shoepodcast.com, across all of our social media channels at Shoe Podcast, everywhere except for where we're not. If you're listening on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop the like, hit the little thumbs up button for us if you could, and leave that comment. Let us know if you think the Nike City looks like the general purpose shoe. If you want to continue the conversation with us, you can do so through our Discord link down in the episode description below. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, do us a favor, leave that rating and review. We want to read them. Helps us know, helps us grow.
Boom.
It's good to be back. A week off was nice.
Good.
Sometimes I think about the podcast like the gym, where it's like, it feels good when you're in that rhythm of it. But when you get a taste of taking a week off, boy, you're like, I don't know about doing it, but it feels good to be back, everybody. Yeah,
it does. It does.
I was the fat lazy slob earlier today on the couch of like, man, maybe we should just take another week. But no, we're back. Feels good to be home. You got anything you want to leave the people with before we go?
I got a poll.
Okay.
Tell me your favorite 0-calorie soda.
Okay. Are we dropping ours right now?
I've been hitting this Coke Zero real hard. Sorry, no product placement.
I've been hitting this Pepsi Alternative Zero real hard.
And it's good.
I'd love Coke Zero. Not a sponsor, but they could be.
I've been making a switch from the Diet Coke to the Coke Zero.
I'm 1,000% on the Coke Zero train.
Yeah, it's real good. What about you? Yeah. What's your 0-cal?
It would typically be Coke Zero, but I also like a Mountain Dew Zero if they have it. I had
one I haven't tried. Never tried that one.
Years ago, I went for a while where I gave up soft drinks and I just wasn't having soft drinks. And then I went back to having soft drinks because I'm a man of weak will. And in that duration, that period where I hadn't had them, my stomach can no longer handle what I like to call the fully leaded soft drinks, which is like regular Coke, regular Sprite. I've got to now have Diet or Zero. Otherwise, it will really upset my stomach. So I'm pretty much exclusively on the Diet or Zero train.
Gotcha. Boy, let me tell you what, though. You know what? I've actually just started getting on the Coke train. This is for the soda listeners.
If anyone stuck around this long in the episode, we're just talking to friends now. Yeah,
real soda hours. I've been not anti-Coke, but I've been a Dr. Pepper boy my pretty much my whole life.
I think they're more popular than, or they're like the number 2 drink right now. I'm pretty sure.
Well, let me tell you what, they have a creamy coconut, super freaking good. Oh my gosh.
I would need to check. Shout out my wife Amanda. She's a Dr. Pepper drinker.
Always.
I think she likes that one, but I think we got good. Like a strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper one once that she didn't. I don't think she liked it. If you like it, we have.
I liked it.
I think we have 2 cans left in our fridge. I'll bring to you next time I see you.
Dude, I like it. Yeah. I like it. I love it. But then I start going, dude. Nothing hits better than after you finish mowing a lawn and you go to get a Coke from McDonald's. Oh no. My god!
I couldn't. I did the liquid IV after the lawn, but I will tell you when we were on our vacation. And we'd got done with a day of flying, and you're drinking airport water, which like can be hit or miss. New Orleans is really bad. Most other places are good. And we went to a restaurant and got pizza, and I just had a water because I just felt like I hadn't had enough. But Amanda they had Pepsi, not Coke, fully leaded Pepsi. And at one point I was like, "Can I have a sip of yours?" When I tell you life changing, just sometimes I'm not a Pepsi advocate now. But just in the moment, like a cold soft drink, when you're just sometimes in a moment, it'll hit you in a way that you're like, whoa. Shout out McDonald's. McDonald's got the spiciest of Coke and Sprite, but they got a different recipe. Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, the 0-cal Sprite, it tastes just like regular Sprite.
I've not had it.
Really good. Anytime I'm looking for a mixer, usually hit the Sprite. I'll hit the 0-cal Sprite.
Okay. Good one.
So good. So good.
All right. Well, I think.
Forgot I got shoes, but it's not sneakers. It's bowling shoes.
Oh, okay. Next week's episode.
I'll show you later.
Next week's all fair.
I forgot we're recording an episode.
We're still rolling here. All right. Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. We'll be back next week with another one. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
Thoughts and prayers to Shannon Sharp. You really had a week this week. All right.